Today is September 21st, 2018. Glen Brown and Jim Brown are putting up their mobile cotton testing station for amateur radio. Glen Brown is the speaker for tonight's Santa Cruz County Amateur Radio Club meeting, and this is the subject of his presentation, mobile cotton testing. We're in the parking lot behind the Santa Cruz chapter of the American Red Cross. Glen uses this unit for his contesting. He can take it anywhere and set up top of a mountaintop or a location and have good success with making contact with other amateur radio operators far and wide. We've taken the precaution of putting outriggers on the trailer because once the antenna gets hoisted, there can be some balance issues with the trailer.
Tell you what, this does not look super level side to side. Pretty good. I'm going to tighten these.
Thank you, Cap.
Okay.
He's attaching the elements.
Am I going to get a call?
Wow.
Got it? Oh. Maybe use another loop up there.
Yeah. So the first one, you gotta do more flipping. Yeah, on the first one.
Is it going to interfere with the dipole up there?
Nope.
Excellent.
We've got the circuitry to prevent that.
Excellent.
Yeah, Jim can talk about that.
The other one good? Yeah.
This is amazing.
Well, the amazing part is that this guy's been working on this stuff for what, 4 years?
Ah,
Yeah, it evolves.
yeah.
It evolves.
Every time I see it, he's done something else slick.
It's marvelous. Oh, there it goes.
So that's the compressor that's going to pump up the tower.
Aha. Wow. Wow. Look at the telescope come up.
Yeah, you can go.
Off it goes. It's getting very close to the dipole.
Okay, we got a match.
We got too many wraps on the mast, it looks like. Now I gotta come back down.
Ah.
I added more coax wraps on the mast for going down the highway last time, and it's too many to go up and get some kind of stuff ramped down.
Ah, okay. That makes sense. This is amazing, Glenn.
They are right in the middle of TV, the Ethernet working outside.
Oh, there you go. Well, so we're already on the air basically. So we like to get it up quick, get somebody going, and then
Yeah. You don't want to waste time, huh?
yeah.
You don't want those contacts. This is amazing.
Jim, I'm taking the steps. So
Oh yeah,
beware.
I will call that.
Yeah.
Are we up or down?
We're coming down.
But we're up now?
We're coming down.
Okay.
There's about 8 feet up in. That's an amazing rack. Did you build it yourself?
The which?
The rack on
Yeah, I
top?
did.
Wow.
The commercial ones for this are expensive and really wimpy. That's
really
just all speed rail fittings and 2-inch aluminum pipe.
Uh-huh. That's amazing.
Did you just break an antenna?
Yeah, I disconnected.
Okay.
Hey, Jamie, nice to see you.
Yeah, well, Craig Jimmy called me up and said, do you have a crew out there working on your antennas? And I said, no. Well, you better go check. So I'll call him back. What are you guys doing? And say, it's not an emergency. Because he's worried about getting robbed, you know?
Oh,
This is for a HIMPA meeting tonight,
Oh, okay.
and this is a contesting van that the gentleman out there has put together.
Yeah, okay.
And here's
So
two-
Frank's just panicking.
So these are two 500-watt stations for HF.
do you know Jim
Which
Brown,
can be
Jamie?
deployed
This
in
is
about
Jim
20 minutes.
Brown.
Okay, cool.
And this is Glen Brown over here. He's
Brown.
going to
Okay,
be
they're
our
both
speaker.
Browns.
And we don't know that we're related.
Okay.
But
Well,
you're
there's
best
Chris
of
Brown,
friends.
who volunteers with us forever.
Yeah?
Yeah, so Brown, well, I'll call Craig back and say there's.
Well, I'm the Jim.
Okay, I'll just call Craig back right now because I was working, and so I get a call because Craig's up in the hills. Can you go check? Okay, I'm
Oh.
checking.
Well, come to the meeting.
Well, I need to work, so I got Craig back. Because you see, there's a camera right there. He's watching it.
Oh,
A Cap was over here about 10 after 5 and got us AC.
yeah, he's got the building open for us. I'm going to stay here. Keep it
Need
secure.
any help, Glenn?
Do you want help, Glenn?
Robbed so many times lately. Every time they see something that they don't like in the parking lots, someone comes and checks.
Thank you. That's
Who's going to do that?
When you drive up and someone's trying to set up a great big beam, I don't think they're robbing the place. How'd you like our new tower?
It's beautiful. Yeah. Is
So,
it all operational? Is there more work
Oh,
to
it's
do?
operational. The only thing that doesn't have a radio on it is one 2-meter antenna and the 900 megahertz. The rest of them are all plugged in.
Nice.
So we're trying to figure out how to get a 900 megahertz radio, right?
Uh-huh.
And what to do with the extra 2-meter. It's 2-meter 440 but at 220. Excuse me.
Uh-huh.
So. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Well, I'm gonna go
Yeah,
back
if
to
you
work.
want help.
Okay.
I'm good.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
That's
Thank
just one of
you,
those
Jim.
things of
Can I put more wraps?
I'm working and I get this call.
Or else
Well,
fast,
thank
go
you.
down the highway.
Tell
Yeah.
Craig thank you for
I-
being so
going up,
observant.
Yeah, I understand. So 40 is on that radio, correct?
Or, no, you just go to number 2. It'll be on the number 2 center.
40 will be on number 2.
Yeah, and it should switch if you go to 40, it should switch.
All right, good. I'll do that. See what happens.
But it's disconnected. It'll be connected in a couple minutes.
Is that one still connected?
What's still connected, Glenn?
Nothing.
Nothing's connected.
Unless there's a dummy load in there, I don't think there is.
I must have left my wallet at work because it's not in the car and it's not laying on the ground out here.
Okay, well, let's hope. If we see it, we'll give you a shout.
Have you guys talked about putting together a CQP team this year?
Not that I know of, but Dawn may have.
Yeah. No, Don is supposed to be twisting arms.
Uh-huh. I think he's going to be doing that tonight.
Okay, good.
You're talking about Don GHA?
Yeah.
I talked to him on the radio a couple hours ago. He was over in Mountain View, I think it was, or Redwood City, I think, picking up an antenna that he had bought from W6OAT, who's moving.
Oh.
So he was taking it home. He had to get it get it inside, or weatherproof, and then it was going to take a shower and come over.
Uh-huh.
And that was maybe, I don't know, 3:45 that I talked to him.
Uh-huh. Cap said he had talked with them, I think more recently than that, and Don was heading for the shower and was going to come right over, so he should be here momentarily. I've got my HT on BJ, so. That's our talk-in frequency.
Okay, here's this antenna.
He's hooking one up.
Yeah, they're both hooked up.
Okay, both are hooked up.
Okay, let's see if that goes up better.
This is amazing, Glenn.
So that's Maryland on 40.
Okay.
Where's our antenna? Where's the beam pointed?
Kind of a little bit north. I'm not sure from here. Kind of north.
I think the road is running east-west, isn't it? The highway?
Um,
Well, might be a little bit south, but
I don't know.
kind of
this wasn't a bad direction. I mean, I could go farther this way probably.
northwest to
I didn't
southeast.
put a line on it though.
Well, S9 signal out of Maryland.
Out of Maryland. Wow. Nice.
Yeah, 40 meters. Cooking.
Okay. food.
Nice. Yeah.
Food time.
Trust me, I'll geek out on it. I got no problem.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. You're
I
gonna,
was geeking out on the boom, really.
I tell you, it is. These guys. That's all there is to say. It sets up pretty fast, too. And
It did.
Yeah. You know. Did Cat get your power? Yeah, obviously. Yeah, we're powered. You're up. Yeah. In fact, I brought an AC compressor. Matter of fact, let me check my pressure. See if I can top it up a little. This thing isn't leaking too much.
So no, that band, that's not terribly noisy.
Yeah.
32 dB scale.
Yeah.
Hey, Reed. That's 32 dB vertical scale on 40.
Who you hammering? What
And,
countries?
This is FDE over here.
I'm not sure we've seen any real DX.
seen anything out of
Any
the US?
DX on this?
Huh? Well, this is 40. You know,
Yeah. Due north.
I don't think you're going to see any DX on 40 now.
Yeah. No. It's going to be huge here. You're going to be
Pacific could be-
Pacific. It should be pounding right now.
Now?
Believe it or not.
40?
Yeah.
The 40,
20.
40's been
20, I saw there was stuff.
Yeah, 40's been coming up a lot lately in the middle of the day. It's incredible. It's
We're going west, huh?
yeah.
Oh.
It's nuts. It's nuts. And since it's
I'll
our
have to
gray
check it
line,
out. Yeah.
since our gray line, we're just coming up on it. That's how Bob did so well in WRTC. as well.
Oh,
It was
'cause
40,
40 was-
40 in the day, in the middle of the day.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, these state QSO parties, it's 20 and 40.
It's
40's an all-day
40,
thing.
40 has been just
Yeah.
hammering. I mean, I jumped in one of them and just that's all I did. I did a 40, and I said I was going to do a multi-band effort. I got one on 20, and then I had to do a mix mode, and so I got one voice contact. Everything else was CW. It was just insane. Just insane. I've got reels of that stuff. If you
LED lights. Nice.
There's that fists thing going on.
Oh yeah.
Okay, that's Texas.
Texas.
It's always Texas. Sorry. Hey, what's?
Well, that was N3BB, the guy that wrote the book about WRTC.
Texas, you get a license, you get an amplifier.
No. Yeah, 3,000 watt.
I think there was K6 UFO.
That's small.
KK6 NMB, I don't know if that helps some, but some point earlier today I heard about the 1.1.3 repeater.
Step up so you can hear it, Becky.
So I have a propane heater for cold places, but what happens is when we're running both these amps, we don't need a heater. Never had to use it.
Yeah. How long? You've been working on this for 4 years, you said? Or longer?
Yes, let's see. So the first California QSO party, you can kind of see.
Ah, yes.
So 2013, 14, 15,
13, so 5 years.
16. And then we've been doing 7QP
Ah.
for a couple of years.
So this is over in that Bears Ears area of
okay.
Utah.
Wow.
God's country. That bridge is going over the Colorado River.
Wow.
Just beautiful.
Spectacular.
How far have you taken this rig, Glenn?
That's about the farthest we've operated, actually,
Yeah.
is the Colorado River. Then.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think we
That's
probably,
a good ways.
I think it's close to 1,000 miles one way. It's because it's not direct, you know.
Yeah.
So that's a county. That's a county line, San Juan and Garfield,
Yeah.
Utah. So what we did,
What they run is N1. So what you'll
Be under that.
we did
that
three.
on the contest.
That's the Oregon one we didn't do.
Yeah.
So you say
No, this is
CQ,
actually this is what we did do. This is our last year's
What
Nevada.
you do is you respond
okay.
to a call sign.
I recognize that map, that's
and you're
Nevada.
typing it in at the same time. Okay. And then you pass your information.
So these are
Then
East
you pass
Coast
their
stations on
information,
40.
you copy that down.
Hey, Jeff.
When you get it,
If I known you were going to be here, I would have given you back your scope. I give up on that thing.
Oh, okay.
Some of these guys
I go to my office and get it now.
180 an hour.
Don't worry about it.
Bob was running more than that.
Which
Hey
scope?
Jeff.
Oh, I know the
Bob
scope
was
you're talking about.
Bob
The
was
portable.
running at his height. He ran 400 an hour.
I give up.
That's amazing.
And he was running CW, but phone you generally are about
It is, yeah.
60 to 100 an hour.
There is
And then
Wi-Fi
your
in
conscious
the
part of the
house.
brain is operating that one, operating the person you're operating for, and then getting ready for the next exchange. And so it's so much fun.
I could loan you some.
It's great. And then you sit in the chair for 24 hours and hope
You
that
seen what the
you
Red
don't
Cross has done on the
explode.
trailer?
You realize your legs are seized where they're at.
Oh
You
yeah,
gotta try
oh
to get
yeah.
out.
No, you stand up sometimes. Stand up, do a little dance, and you better not put that on there.
So I put in a ubiquity
I actually
Amazing.
just ran the cable and got biked.
bullet.
Huh?
So I've got the
Putting yourself in a chair for 24 hours and going at it in most cases. And these guys do it on a weekly basis. They're incredibly talented and incredibly passionate about amateur radio. So please, Glenn, thank you very much. You're welcome. So, does everybody know what the state QSO parties are, how they work, what we do, and everything like that? Well, California QSO party has been going for, I think it's 54 years, 53, 54 years. It's one of the oldest, and it is the biggest in the country. And one of the reasons that it's so popular is that it's possible for folks outside the state to work all 58 California counties. It's possible to sweep the counties, and it's regularly done. So it's very important, and I happen to be chairman of the CQP this year, and so one of my jobs is to make sure that all 58 counties have strong stations in it. And we'll talk about this some more. So we do, let me see, where should I start? The reason I built this trailer was kind of the mistaken impression. I found that when we're getting ready for field day or CQP, it took me a whole week to get ready. And I thought, well, okay, if I put everything together, why, we can just be ready to go and just go like that. Well, it's turned out to be the opposite, because now I work on it all the time. So, but it is a lot of fun. I have way too many slides here, so some of them I'll just kind of zip through, and we'll try to do it in. Does an hour sound okay? Everybody sit for an hour?
Sure.
Okay.
We'll pretend we're contesting.
Right. Yeah. I can't sit for an hour. So this is one of our setups. This is 2.5 years ago. You can see there's that 40-meter, if you saw outside, the 40-meter dipole up on the mast. We set up a tri-bander on a portable tripod and mast, and we have the little vertical going there. This is the Nye Mineral County line in Nevada. It's just south of, is that a little mining town?
Yeah, I don't remember the name of the town, yeah.
Never
It's
mind.
middle of nowhere.
Nobody cares. So anyway, we'll talk a little bit about the equipment. You guys have already seen the trailer, so all other stuff we can kind of go through quickly. And of course, what we do for antennas is really the key to success on these whole things. So we started out doing just CQP. We had a big group going up to Tama every year and everything. And the first year that I came, here's a bunch of old guys with 40 feet of Roan 25 on the ground, trying to tilt it up and lash it to the side of a motorhome. I thought somebody was going to get hurt, and seriously hurt. And so one of the goals here is not only safety, but safety for old guys. Because just even lifting stuff can put us out of commission pretty easily. What happened was, though, it turns out that if you build something that old guys can put up easily, it's also something that can go up quickly. And so being quick is something that has turned out to be a strategic advantage in one of the contests that we do every year. Let's not talk about that. Here's an example of another way to do it, though. This is N6MI. He's a lawyer down in Los Angeles. He got a deal on this. This thing was already set up. It's a television van. It's got the generator. It's got everything in racks. It's got he actually has the same pneumatic mast that I have, but it's all set up and everything. He does a lot of VHF rover stuff as well as this sort of thing. He's going to be our main station from Kern County this year, N6MI. I didn't want to own another engine, was the thing. For something where you use 3 times a year, you don't want an engine sitting around. The guy loaned me this some years back, and I thought this was a good idea. But you have to realize it's a box of air on wheels. And this was a very windy year, and I'm going up I-5 with the trucks going past, and it was absolutely terrifying. So this is what I ended up with. So this is 6 by 12, and it's tall enough to stand up in, and that's the key. These things are reasonably cheap. I think it's about $3,000. It's light enough, empty, they can legally sell it with one axle and no brakes. And you can tow this with an SUV, but as it gets heavier and things without the brakes, it's not a good idea. That truck has very good brakes and there's no problem. I think it's important, a lot of these things have like little teeny wheels. You're always going off-road. You have no choice. You know, the good spots are always off-road. You need the 15-inch wheels. Most of these things come with a ramp because it's for people to put their motorcycles in. You have to find one with doors in the back. I'm not going to read the list, but you can see a lot of that stuff. I don't know. Did anybody notice the outriggers out there?
Yeah.
So this is, we kind of debated when we got here whether to put the outriggers out because it's so level there. But the thing is, it doesn't take much of a wind when you're on springs. The thing will go back and forth, and your wind tolerance goes way, way down without the outriggers. So this is a kind of a, you know, this jack you can get right out of the catalog, and then the tubing is just real easy to find, and it's really the same. The tubing that's welded on the bottom of the trailer is standard receiver hitch tubing. It's a 2-inch square steel tubing. You guys saw this, the strip lighting. You get it at any ham event, very cheap. This is the mask. Here's the whole lineup of Wilbert masks. And these things come on the market on eBay from time to time. And that one I have is called the 7-42. So it's 7 sections that go to 42 feet. So use an Astron power supply through this power gate, and so that gives the battery a nice float voltage, and it can sit there for a long time, doesn't hurt it. Yeah.
Was the mast at 42 something calculated for a purpose, or was that just the convenience of finding one that fit your need?
Yeah, it was available, and the collapse length is enough that it's not taller than the trailer. Good. Because you know K6MI's
right.
Tower trailer, you get a little bit higher. Now you have to tilt it up and then go up. So that's a lot more motion, a lot more mechanisms. It's kind of a pain. So this is very, very convenient that it gets to that, and having that many sections. You won't see a mechanical telescoping thing with 7 sections on it. So the trailer will stay powered up depending on, it'll run the radio on that battery for a number of hours, no problem. But we either plug it in or we have a set of generators. I don't know if we talk about generators. This is a nice system of cargo racks, very heavy duty, commercial stuff. But you get a couple, 400 or 500 feet of RG8 hanging on these things. You don't want to be hosed. I built this roof rack. There are some commercial ones, but they're expensive and they're really windy. So this is just 2-inch Schedule 40 aluminum pipe and speed rail fittings. It's really, really stout. I'm really pleased with it. I don't go up there and stand on it, but you probably could. We've, let me see, what else do I say about generators? We've fooled around with generators quite a bit. We have, I converted one of these, well, we use the Honda i2000s, so everybody has, right? Everybody have a Honda? I converted mine to propane right away. Mine's never had a drip of gas in it. Zero maintenance. Propane never goes bad. You run gasoline in these things like any other tiny carburetor, and you're running gasoline in it, and you only fire it up once or twice a year. It's not going to start up next time you.
On the propane, equivalent tank of propane, five gallon tank of propane, how is that equivalent to a gas load?
Well, the tank in the built-in tank in those Hondas only run for 6 or 8 hours at the running a 500 watt station. One tank of propane will take us all weekend. So we don't have to change the tank for a weekend
Cool.
contest. So that's
Isn't the
nice.
propane not as powerful as the regular gasoline one? But
It's hard to know. I mean, neither of them will run two 500 watt amps at the same time. So you need one per station anyway. So yeah, probably the maximum power you can draw is probably a little bit less, although maybe the inverter kicks out before you run out of. I'm not sure what the limitation on these is. I've been able to pull, on mine I've been able to get 18 amps for a short period of time, but then the voltage starts to sag. So really, things are really only good, you know, I think it's really an inverter limitation. 16 amps is pretty happy. So you can't run a full kilowatt on these things. Because a kilowatt takes 2 kilowatts to make, right?
Are those conversion kits difficult to find, and are they difficult to install?
This is the Diesels of Maine is who sells these things. It's not difficult to install. The thing is this is really clunky. See this, the demand regulator sticks out. So you know you have this neat, sleek little lunchbox sort of a thing, and now you've hung this ugly thing on the outside. That's my only complaint. But they start real easily.
Is it possible to turn out more of the lights in here?
yeah,
Oh, yeah. I
it's
think
back there.
you have to.
It's back right there on the wall.
Hold it.
The one on the left, I think, is for this side.
The other thing.
Thank you.
The other difference between the two is that I was operating in a guy's van, you know, graveyard shift, 80 meters at night, and the wind shifted, and the van filled with exhaust.
Oh.
And I just had to bail out, and that was from gasoline. I mean, the exhaust of either of these things will kill you, but the propane will not gag you bad. You know, if you get a little whiff of it, it's not that bad.
That's why they use them on forklifts indoors.
Forklifts indoors, exactly. So, you know, so that's, to me, that's an advantage too if the generator's pretty fast. So what we do is we run 2 of these. So we're on the one propane, the one gasoline, and we have the parallel kit from Honda. And I can run a single plug. I changed the breaker on the propane one to 30 amps. It's very easy to do. One plug, and we can run 2 500 watt stations out of that. If we have to refuel the gasoline generator, you just shut that one down. Everybody stays on the air. Usually one of the operators comes out to help me refuel anyway, so that you only got 1 amp and that one operator, one generator, it's fine. I would just comment, I have never managed to fill up that gasoline generator without spilling gasoline all over the place. I don't know how you do it. Very unpleasant. Let's see, which one? So, you know, it's important to minimize the footprint of your radios and everything like this. It's the same. I take the same approach at home as well. So I build these little cabinets that kind of stack things vertically, and it ends up being, I think, reasonably ergonomic. This is the Radio 1 position in the trailer. And you can see it's an L-Craft K line,
It also has you guys saw us running FT8, so this is the sound card for that. The speaker output is routed through this speaker, and the headphone and microphone for your headset have jacks on the front as well. So you don't have to, when you're trying to operate, you don't have to dig around the back of the radio to plug things in. Okay, antennas. So here, we like this. This is an old Force 12 tri-bender. It's C3SS, and you can see that the 20-meter elements are folded. They're linear loaded 20-meter elements. So the elements are the longest element is 26 feet. So that goes on top. It'll go onto a pickup truck rack if you need to, or it'll go on the rack on the trailer pretty easily. I've modified this in a couple ways. If you try to assemble an antenna using U-bolts out in the field and you drop a nut, it's gone. Don't even bother looking for it. It is gone. You're not going to find it. So this assembles without any U-bolts or nuts. Actually, there are some wing nuts on this. The 3 driven elements, which are normally assembled separately, and you have all those wires, are pre-assembled on a Delrin plate. You have an integrated transmit choke and the connector. On the boom, so this plate, there's 4 bolts in the corners, and they drop into the corners of this set of clamps. And then the parasitic elements just drop into these grooves, and you just hit the little toggle clamp. So it assembles very, very quickly. Don's probably done this with us a dozen times. This is the dipole that's up outside right now. These are a pair of 31-foot telescoping aluminum tubes. I like the Jacklite brand. You can get them from Spider Beam for probably 4 times the dollars. And in the center, so here's one, there's the other. This is a rod of Delrin that's turned down to the right diameter for everything just plug in. And then the transmit choke. I build everything on Army mast tubing, so everything's compatible with everything else. If I want to stack antennas, I can. This can go on my tripod assembly, and I also have an adapter at the top of the mast. Everything's adapted to the Army mast system.
So to clarify what Glen has done here, he's taken one 4-foot section and he's cut it off so that he's wasting the rest of it, but that becomes a modular piece that can just go right on that mast.
And a chop saw with a carbide blade cuts this stuff like butter. This is a good antenna. This is a quarter wave on 20, and I can pull it down for 15. This is again the speed rail hardware, and I modified it a little bit with these. Again, this is white Delrin insulators to make a feed point out of it. And here, the other half of the antenna obviously is the rack and the trailer body. This is a good antenna. If we were running a single station, it gets you on the air really quickly, so that's useful. So for the first station, you get on the air. But when you think about it, it's the same as mobile. The other half of the antenna, you're sitting inside the other half of the antenna, that trailer body, and the RF is every place. So when you start to fire up another station, you know the interference is just intrinsic. You're not gonna ever get it to work right. They're very annoying. So, and you know it'd be the same with any mobile antenna. Really, you just don't tend to notice it, but you're sitting inside half the antenna. This is something I've been working on for 2 years now. It still ain't right. This is, I don't know if you can see it, but this is, again, the Army mast setup. Here's a tripod. It comes up. The feed point for that antenna is up here. The coax runs up the tubing, and there's a little section here where it splits, and top and bottom. This has a 40-foot fiberglass top in this incarnation. It was a great antenna. It tested much better than our inverted V on 80, but it broke, and the first time we had it out, it was a windy day, about a 40-mile-an-hour gust, and just took it apart. So I have a version of this now that'll stand up in almost any wind. It's actually easier to put up. Two guys can put it up in 10 minutes or so. It just doesn't perform like this one does. So it's a tough one. ARRL has a low band antenna contest going on for portable antennas. I thought, oh boy, okay, I'm going to really kick ass on this one. They have a 30-foot height limit in the field. There's no point. There's on the low bands, you're wasting your time if you're only 30 feet tall and 80 meters. It's just a total waste of time, so I'm not even looking at that. This is that antenna taken apart, ready to go. This is the feed point. So again, made out of that Army mast stuff. Piece of plastic here. Here's the coax and it splits and drives top and bottom. So wherever you put this in the stack, that's your feed point. And the coax goes up, and then when where the coax comes out, it's got a ton of common mode current because it's still part of the antenna. So you choke it right there. There's the choke. Yeah, this is the next version of that. You can see instead of going up 40 feet, I put a T on the top. Can you see that?
Yeah.
See?
Oh, okay.
So there's a loading coil. There's a loading coil, and then a T across the top comes down. Here's the feed point, comes down, a loading coil, and a T across the bottom. You think that'd be pretty good. Actually, it is pretty good. We put this up for field day. We had an inverted V and this, and I gave Jim a switch. And he'd go back and forth, and there were times when he said it was the equal of the inverted V, but it was never better. And there were times when the inverted V was better, so this is not better. Okay, this is the 2-element monobander that's up out there. You can see when it's up, you can't really see this, but you see the detail of the pivot. So an 18-foot boom, and then you have a pair of approximately 18-foot elements, or really 4 of them. It all folds up into a very nice package, and we can go down the road. We can leave it on the top of the mast, put some ropes on it so it doesn't do this, and goes down the road. We get to the next spot, fold it over, put it up. And again, it's got the, now with these, well, okay, we could talk about the design. It has the transmit choke on it. So I talk about liking the Army mast system. You can kind of see, you can buy these tripods, things from, I think I say the website, where there's a guy makes these things, and with this you can make tripods of any size that you want, and you can feed the tubing up through the center. And then I built a number of these onto the tripod. So this is, I used to have a video to go with this, but it's not on the stick. Visualize this assembly now with tubing running up the center. It goes through these blocks, and you pump on that handle, and everything goes up.
Oh.
Right.
Wow.
So basically, 2 guys can put up a mast as big as you want. You need one guy to be feeding in the tubing, the 4-foot of tubing that's next, pushing up, and the other guy just pumps, and the whole thing goes up.
Yeah. Wow.
Otherwise, it takes about 4 guys. You have to hold down Takes 2 guys to hold the tripod down and 2 guys to shove the tubing out. This reduces it to 2 guys, and I think it's a little bit safer.
Is it reversible?
For taking it down.
You can get it down, yeah, it's not, you don't pump it, you can kind of slide it and bump it down. It's more dangerous coming down, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So, this example, so we're on, say, the last setup of the day, we set it for 40 and 80, right? The sun's going down, we pull into the last spot where we're operating, and we want to put up 40 and 80. We actually run those 2 antennas with the feed points about 3 feet apart, running 500 watts into each. And the key is this double stub here, which eliminates the second harmonic of 80. So with this, this is the key to being able to run a pair of harmonically related antennas right next to each other.
Yeah, to clarify why you need that, I mean, you could use bandpass filters, and we do, but the bandpass filter goes between the rig and the power amp, and the harmonic is coming out of the power amp. Because in a modern power amp, without the output network, the second harmonic is only like 4 or 5 dB down. So then the output network, whether it's a pi network or T, whatever it is, knocks that down by another 30 or so dB, but that ain't nearly enough if you're on 80 and 40 at the same time, because the harmonic of 40, or of 80, is right where you want to operate on 80. So you need a lot of suppression, and the double stubs will give you about 90 dB of harmonic suppression.
Yeah, first time we set this up, I was just shaking my head. How could you possibly run these 2 bands, these 2 antennas so close to? And we, you know, a lot of other setups, we're running dipoles and trees. We did all kinds of stuff to space our antennas out, as you would think. Well, it turns out you don't have to. I built a number of these, so this is what we use for dipoles and inverted V's. It's you know, just made out of PVC pipe. It's a bifilar common mode choke, and this is just regular house THHN wire, and a pair of these is about 100 ohms. But you're trying to match to something that's about 72 ohms, so it ain't too terrible. And these things do okay. We're rewinding these things now. Jim runs these things at his house, but he's full legal limit, CQing for hours and hours. He burned some of these up. So now we're going to Teflon wire. We've had very little trouble at 500 watts with these. So, okay, nothing new here. This is kind of, you know, packing up, ready to go. You can see this has the tri-bander boom on it and the 40-meter dipole. And you can go down the road like this. Now, if we're going very far, if I'm driving to Utah or something like that, I'll put those on the rack. So, yeah, so Jim has this presentation with actually more detail and sources and parts and stuff on his website. So we do 3 operations a year. We do field day, we do California QSO party, and we do 7QP. So 7QP is the 7th call area QSO party. They have about 285 counties, so a lot of opportunities to have your own county, no problem at all. And we approached the organizer and said, well, one observation is, in the California QSO party, you never run out of takers. You can run a frequency and you will, you know, it slows down at times, but you will never totally work out the band. You can come back, there'll be more guys. In 7QP, you get a couple hours and it really slows down. So Jim's idea was, well, let's move. Let's operate till it slows down, then we'll move to a new county, start over. And actually you work the same guys all over again. And plus in 7QP, if you're on a county line, you're handing out double points, and on both counties, and often double multipliers. So they really, you can get real popular. And you're getting double points, and a lot of times double multipliers, so you can really rack up a lot of points, so it makes it fun. So the first, let's see, 2016 was the first year we did it. We did 7 counties in Nevada. 2017 we went to Utah, and I got some pictures of that. We did 5 counties in southern Utah, and we were high score for the entire contest.
Wow.
And you can see the counties that we've done. We were last year in Tuolumne, in California QSO party, we actually won. Finally, we won the high power multi-county expedition plaque. So
Wow.
here's just some. Here's back when we were going to Tehama. This is, I think, the first year we deployed the trailer. This is our setup. We put up 7 antennas to run a 1 sideband and 2 CW stations. We're going to do something very similar this year from San Benito.
Show the talk about the separation there, Glenn.
Yeah. So all the CW antennas are off in this field over here. So here's the 2 CW stations. We put a tri-bander here and a tri-bander here. We're aiming them this way, so we put them in each other's nulls, right? In addition to all this other stuff we do with bandpass filters. And it's especially important, see how we line up the tri-banders like this? The sideband station will be on the same band that we're operating CW. And a bandpass filter doesn't help you. You're on the same band. So it's very important that you get this antenna in the side nulls to each other, and then you don't touch it. So if I calls you from Canada, you just work it, you don't point at it. And then we ran under there's a drainage ditch here, we pushed coax under here, 40-meter dipole in the tree and a 75-meter dipole, and similar setup here, but tuned for CW. It's a full day of setup for 6, 7, 8 guys, and Tehama can get really hot. It's a lot of work. And we never did better than the second place. We had 500,000 points one year.
Wow.
Actually, one year we showed up with this plan, and then we realized we had enough spares for another station. So we built a 10-meter Yagi, and we had added a 10-meter sideband station. We were over 500,000 points for the contest. Still only good for second place.
Wow.
Very competitive category. This is our buddy K6MI from Fresno. He tows this. So this is an example of a little crank-up tower. He's built. This is a handmade. You can't see the trailer, but he's a music teacher, and one of the schools he teaches at, they built this trailer for him in a shop class, and it works. Here's our 500,000 score.
Wow.
You can kind of see we have a second tower trailer now. N6 RNO owns it, and that's way. I don't know how to describe that. It's another kind of a telescope. It's a mechanical telescoping mast. In 2016, we got an appeal from the CQP organizers. They had a number of counties they were worried about. So we started out in Trinity, found this terrific place just below a helipad, a firefighter helipad thing in the mountains there above Trinity. And this is a beautiful spot, dead quiet and on top of a hill. It's exactly what you always want. Then we, am I going backwards?
How do you
That's the
find
wrong
these
button.
places? How do you find these places?
We do a lot of scouting on Google Earth. In this case, the spots that we thought were good all had power lines. A lot of these, you know, dirt roads are there for a reason. A lot of times the reason is they follow a power line. And we kind of gave up, and N3ZZ kept driving around. He came back, hey guys, I found a good spot. And boy, he really did. Same spot. Then, so we operated from Trinity till about, I think, 11 at night. Shut down, started driving. Some of us woke up at sunrise and started operating. This is just off of I-5 in Colusa. And as the rules stand right now, we had to change call signs. Submit a separate log. Start all over on the multipliers, everything like that. So there's a discussion about rules going on. We may have, there's a pretty strong sentiment, I think, to start allowing county lines again in CPP. It's Tuolumne.
Wow.
This is our sideband station. And so this is how close it was last year. Inyo usually kicks everybody's butt, and some story there's some event there where they can't use their normal site last year, so it kind of opened up. Look how close the top 3 places were.
Wow.
And this is, we just decided, we got our old group back together and just said, we're just going to have fun. We're going to operate when we feel like it. When we get tired, we're going to go to a restaurant. After we eat, we're going to go to a motel and sleep. When we feel like getting up, we're going to get up. So it wasn't one of these death march sorts of things. We had no idea how competitive this was going to be. We had no idea that we would even be able to win it. And that was the result. I don't need to talk. So this is Antelope Pass. It's in White Pine County, but it's quite a bit west of Ely, in Nevada. This is a turnout in Eureka. This was not a county line. We had a county line all scouted, and then it rained. And we started up this road, and it was just mud. It was a perfect road. The day before, we drove up there, it was just perfect. We started up this road, and it was just axle deep in mud.
Ooh.
And didn't realize it as quickly as I ought to. And it seemed like I backed up about 5 miles. I'm told it was only a half a mile. But it was bad. And the main thing was I wanted to get out of there before whoever owned that road saw what we had done to their road because we screwed it up bad. And then this is that same site. So this is the Nye Churchill line. And there's a big radar site there, and we had no interference at all. And this is where it fit. This is where we finished up that year. So we got you can see the 40-meter dipole up top, and then hard to see, but the 80-meter inverted V. Actually, I think we're just staking it out there in the picture. So it's very important to get to that last site before the sun goes down, because
They need to move 15 feet to work the next county? Or you,
if you're within in 7QP, they have a 500-foot rule. If you're within 500 feet of the line, then you're considered to be in both counties.
okay.
And when you give the exchange, in one QSO, you give both counties in your exchange. And the logging software, the N1MM and WriteLog both handle that. So you get credit for the 2 QSOs and the 2 multipliers.
So where's the etherical 4-county line?
I've only found one in California, and I think you could probably get up there in a Jeep. But there are a lot of 3-county points in California. A lot of them. I found half a dozen already. And some of them look very, very accessible. I got one that if I can find the rancher who owns the gate, then that'll be a good one too. But if we could allow people to work county lines in CQP, it'd be a lot easier to get all 58 on the air.
Do you use GPS to establish your real location in terms of county line out in the remote?
I take a GPS fix and I write it down, but it's never been necessary. Actually, usually I just take a picture like this.
Yeah.
So you just bring your own sign.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. This is our QSL card from 2017. So this is a bridge over the Colorado River, and it's on the San Juan Garfield county line in Utah. I think this trip was as close as we have come to actually operating to the plan. We were pretty close.
And then, even then, we did some zigs and zags.
Yeah.
This was a spot where Glen had done very extensive surveying in Google Earth. And it's an extremely valuable tool, and you can combine that with Street View and get some ideas about whether or not you can get to where you want to go.
Yeah.
But you have to follow up with a site survey. You've got to drive it. And so with all of these trips, we have the day or days before the trip, we've run our projected or planned path in reverse and looked at every single site. And in some cases, you say, oh yeah, that's beautiful. But in some cases, you look around and you say, well, no, that doesn't work, but how about this? And so this was an example where we used the first 2 of the 3 sites, and the third one was another that we poked around and found.
Yeah. And in this one, I actually called the San Juan County surveyor to find out where the line was, and it's the middle of the Colorado River. So it's actually the middle of this bridge. If it had been the other side of the bridge, this wouldn't have worked, because there's no place to pull out over there. And then on Google Earth, you can actually measure, you use the tape measure tool, go from the center of the river to well within the 500 feet. Nobody's going to know, but this is not something that's worth cheating on.
Yeah.
So this is, this is our paper map version. Paper maps I enjoy paper maps. Here so what we do is we operate, we break down, and then as we're driving, we run mobile. We have a KX3 in the truck, a 100-watt amp, and just a ham stick. But what happened here is you're going through Capitol Reef. You're down in the rocks. You're down Deep Canyon. And Frank was operating. He said, I can't hear anything. Forget it. Well, so at a certain point, and then we hit it. Let's see if we have.
This route, by the way, this is God's country. The eastern end of that is that new Bears Ears Monument, and that a couple of those others are national parks, and they're just incredibly beautiful.
So this one, I was
Wow.
afraid to put the mast up all the way.
Yeah.
It was gusty and lightning and everything. The lightning never got too close to us, but I just didn't feel comfortable putting the mast up all the way. We did okay anyway, but
I'm not sure it would have mattered one way or the other.
probably not. And then this is our final setup. So we got there just with enough sunlight left in the day to anchor out the inverted V on 80.
And this is one where we had planned to work this county line, but this spot turned out to be significantly better than the one we had surveyed in Google Earth.
Yeah, this was on a side road that we didn't really know, and Jim took a side trip up and found this spot, which is perfect. We've operated from Berryessa Peak a number of times. We have a friend who owns the top of the peak and has the gate codes to get up.
Whoa.
Yeah, a little competition there, huh?
Little competition. That's not as noisy as the power lines, you know, the bad insulators and the power lines coming up the mountain.
Sure makes a
Yeah.
great picture.
Yeah. So,
That tower's about 140 feet, but the size is quite deceptive. That tower is 32 foot square at the base
Wow.
and 24 foot square at the top.
yeah.
That's an old AT&T long lines
You
site.
see these horns up at the top? They're not used anymore, but that was the original purpose of this tower. So that was the
Oh, my
microwave,
goodness.
you know, cross country, across the,
I mean, this was long distance before there was satellite and fiber. This is what it was.
Where is that?
Berryessa Peak.
Berryessa
Yeah,
Peak.
Berryessa Peak is about 40 miles straight west of the Sacramento airport, and it's at 3,000 feet.
And this is a peak that has not been activated. Last time I checked, it had never been activated for SOTA. It's a SOTA listed peak. Has not been activated because you can't get there. And we're always too busy doing our other thing to do a SOTA activation while we're up there, but we kind of thought about doing it.
Wow.
So there's our field day. Now, we can't do CQP from up here because CQP is the first weekend of deer season. And we go through land that's actually leased to a gun club. And these guys follow us up the hill, a lot of times ask us what we're doing up there.
We're shooting deer by then, too.
But the owner doesn't want us up there because these guys will shoot at anything that moves.
Yeah.
So-
It's dangerous.
So we can't do CQP. We've done 2 field days. Let's see, we won one year, second the other. Is that right?
I'm not sure about that. Oh, by the way, you see the white cone-shaped thing?
Yeah.
That is one of those horns and covers that's sitting on top of the tower. Okay, so that gives you an idea about the size, sitting next to the trailer.
That's big.
They've taken it off the tower, but it's too big of a pain to get it down the mountain. So they just sit down.
You were saying they shoot.
There you go, another shot of
Wow.
the same thing.
Wow.
Yeah, you were saying about them shooting at anything, you better put some safety vests on those towers.
Yeah.
Now, this is an area, Berryessa is an area that burned in one of the fires this year. That was the first big one of the year, I think.
The last time we went to Berryessa, it was so hot as we were breaking down. I mean, we couldn't drink the Gatorade fast enough, basically. We were just stumbling around trying to get out of there. It was a survival exercise. And the next year was even hotter day than that. So we decided to go to Wilder.
Yeah.
We got permission to camp in the horse camp. You can't really camp overnight in Wilder except if you have a horse. And so we got permission to camp without a horse. And
Tell them it was in the trailer.
so this year, so 2017, we were the high score. So 1AB means club station single transmitter, battery powered on solar. Here's our solar panel.
Oh, very cool.
QRP. So we made almost 657 QSOs. Here's the solar panel. Here's our VHF setup.
Is that all CW?
Yeah, except for VHF, we did a few sideband contacts on CW, on 6 meters and 2 meters.
So anyway, here's our brag sheet. This was the plan for last year, and we didn't do this. We found 3 beautiful county lines in Oregon. So we did Nevada, then we did Utah. Okay, well, let's go kick ass in Oregon. Now, Oregon is really the home of 7QP, the organizers and everything. So Oregon can be pretty tough. By the time, within a couple weeks of the contest, they had given away all these counties. People had registered on top of us for these counties. And the organizer said, you know, I really need you to go back to Nevada. So we did, went back to Nevada. But anyway, this was the plan, but we didn't do the plan. So this is what you see outside. It's kind of the evolve. Without 10 meters, this is close to an optimum setup. I have a design for a folding tri-bander along the lines of this. That, you know, I'll build and see how it goes. But for now, with no sunspots, this is a very good setup. And for those of you we didn't talk to outside, so the 40 meter, again, this is kind of a story of using studs. So that's the 40 meter in the middle of a 2-element monoband for 20. And we use the 40 meter dipole on 15 to the extent the 15 gets open. And the reason this works without the 40 meter killing the pattern of the monobander is because we have those stubs on the 40 meter feed line. So it looks like, so the 40 meter dipole looks like it's shorted at 20 meters.
To clarify how that works, for the optimum operation of the stub, it wants to be a quarter wave down the line, or I'm sorry, a half wave down the line at the harmonic that it's trying to kill. Well, that puts it, that causes it to look like a short at that point. And of course, a half wave up, it looks like a short again. So the first stub becomes the shorting element of the 40 meter antenna, which detunes it on 20 meters. So it's a kind of a 2-for-1 deal.
Yeah. So this is proven very, very effective. The 2-element monobander, being on a long boom, is really killer antenna for what we do. We don't want something too narrow of a beam width because we don't really rotate. We just point it east, and everything we want to work is east. Or if it's to the west, it's close. So this works out very, very well. Here's all the guys that have operated with us. Oh, I had updated this with you on there, Don, and this isn't. What happened? Don
I was in the other trailer.
Yeah. And the guy in the foreground there is N3ZZ.
Ah.
This is from over, has a beautiful QTH overlooking Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
Retired engineer.
So this is a good time to talk about this year's California QSO party. I don't know if you guys are aware, but you know, Santa Cruz County has no problem. You got Bob Wilbert up on the hill.
Yeah.
Santa Cruz is covered. Last year, Monterey County, our backyard, had a high score by a mobile driving through.
Whoa.
This is embarrassing. So, you know, I want to talk about who's willing to put together a little field day style operation for Monterey. And we have some good locations already scouted out for that. If we can just get some folks to go and set up, and you know, it's just like field day. You need guys that that enjoy the setup part and the planning and everything, and then you need some operators, and sometimes there's overlap and sometimes there's not. So, Don, you wanna talk to the group a little bit and see what we can come up with?
Sure, let me, are we at the end here?
That's it, I think
Okay.
that's it, everything else is just,
And while you're doing that, let me emphasize, you don't have to get anywhere near as fancy as this. You can have a hell of a lot of fun with a mobile and a couple of whips, you know, and just go find a place to park. There are guys that go out with a tent and a radio and a Costco table, you know. All of these things are great ways to do it.
100 watts and a wire would do very well. And if you're in a county without other strong stations, which is the case for Monterey, I mean, right here in Monterey, it's like you're the rare GX. You will generate pileups, and which is not a common situation for whiskey sixes. So you know, it's rare that anybody really wants to work in. This is the weekend that they do. So I just wonder if if we have folks in this club that can get something going for Monterey.
I'm listening to Glenn, and I was gonna say what he said.
What he said.
Because to be honest with you, it doesn't, the effort is not that big of an effort. I believe that there are stations available down in Monterey that could support a cast of characters, for lack of better terms. You wouldn't have to be spending a whole overnight, you know, you don't have to strap yourself into a chair and then you know, not drink water for, you know, 24 hours. You can have a group of people come down and operate a couple of hours each, get the idea of what it is to be, you know, involved in a contest and have some fun. You've done field day. It's the same kind of thing as field day. It's just a little bit different, and truth is, it's a lot easier than field day.
It could be, you could do multi-single. We have a lot of counties that are represented by multi-single. So it's a very easy setup. You don't have to worry about stubs and bandpass filters and everything like that. You just got a decent radio. You could do whatever you can with antennas, and then just you know, rotate onto the radio.
This is a contest that officially runs from 9 o'clock Saturday morning until 3 o'clock Sunday afternoon. But not much happens after midnight, Saturday night, and until 5, 6 in the morning, Sunday morning. So there's all kinds of ways you can do this, different kinds of casual.
You can be as simple as, like I said, throwing a dipole up out of your motorhome, out of your Jeep, out of the back of your car, pitching a tent and just going and having fun, to
the first weekend.
To doing something with an already established club group down in Monterey. Cap, do you know what's going on with Monterey's Amateur Radio Club, and if you've visited them a little bit?
They have regular breakfasts and small meetings, but there's been sort of a low level of activity.
Okay.
They used to have their meetings on the Naval Postgraduate School campus, but they increased security there. It's hard to get people onto the campus now, unless you're military.
What's happening with
the